Welcome to the Fearless Floyd Show. We'll begin in 2 minutes. Pre-video talk, but it's remarkable the viewership of this trust series. It's been so steady. It's pretty incredible. It's not like it's taken off and hitting #1 on Billboard, but
Do we think we're going to hit Billboard #1, hit
no,
series #1?
It's straight across. I mean, usually when you do like multiple parts, it just steadily drops off to where nobody gives a shit anymore, because this is remarkable. So in my eyes,
I keep getting a lot of messages on Telegram, people saying that they've seen the series and they're like, when you're doing the next one, when you're doing the next one, when's the next one coming up? And they're just so excited. They said that they've paid people thousands and thousands of dollars to go to common law trust classes, and they didn't learn a thing with it. But they said the series that we're putting together, they have learned so much from it, and it's free, guys. So enjoy.
It is. All right. What we must consider when drafting our trust. And by the way, we're very close to start to actually draft instruments in this process. So I'll just leave it at that for now. And everybody knows what I'm talking about that's following this. All right. Panel 2. Trust and estate laws can be complicated. Not every attorney you visit has the complete knowledge of estate laws and how to draft a trust for you. You need to do a bit of research for your state to see what laws and jurisdictions apply to you. It is not so hard to learn the key aspects of creating your own trust. If you understand the key aspect of creating a trust, it is not so difficult to draft your own trust. Those are these are, now, you didn't have these numbered. So are these?
No, the points are coming under, the points come underneath. This is the introduction. And I'm going to explain there is 15 key points to drafting an express trust. So this is the introduction to understand how the trusts are. I think I numbered them inside the document.
Okay, that's fine.
Yeah.
Let's see. Oh yeah, you numbered the panels.
Yeah,
Okay.
I thought I did.
Yeah, you did. Well, I just want to make sure. There we go. Number 1 of 15, need and purpose. The major reason a person needs to create a trust today is to protect their assets, wealth management, avoid probate taxes, medical planning, and estate planning. A married couple or individual who owns real estate worth more than $100,000 should consider creating a trust. I'm going to second that motion. Do more than consider. This will protect their financial future and the future of their loved ones.
So we have different kinds of trusts, but the major purpose of creating trust is to protect our assets. There's a lot of people who die, or a lot of families who have quite a bit of assets, and at the last second, they don't understand what they're doing. So plan ahead, guys, because in trust, you can always, change your, change the schedules of the trust, add assets, take out assets, change beneficiaries, change trustees. There's a lot you can do.
Yeah. Panel 4, number 2, laws and rules governing trusts. There we go. The laws and rules governing trust fall under the laws of property. Each state is different, so it is important to do a bit of research for your state to understand these rules. The laws you should concentrate on are validity, construction, and administration. Validity will deal with state-specific laws and rules and may render it invalid from one jurisdiction to another. You create your trust in one state and move to another state, it may be necessary to modify your trust.
So basically, we're looking at laws in states. Every state has a series of statutes and laws for estates, trusts, and things like this. So it's important, to do a small, search on Google. It's pretty easy if you just say, what are my state law, Georgia state laws or Arizona state laws, trust laws, equity laws, stuff like this. And there's always a lot of things online that, lawyers from the states that you're in will come up and give you some, nice pointers, nice hits, nice tips on it. And it just basically says, if you need some help, contact us. And always when you see something like that, you got these little chat things popping up in your face. Can I help you? Well, can a robo help us to determine our trust and what we need? Not really, but it's, it's what it is.
Right. That's funny. You want to hear how small this world is? There's somebody in my Telegram chat room right now who's in there because of me, and I happened to meet him at an estate sale, and he was working for the lady who owned the company, and she is the former sister-in-law of my trial attorney for the DWI that I'm currently on parole for. Yeah. Yeah, that's
well, maybe your trial attorney is going to get a nice surprise in the mail pretty soon.
I don't think he's looking forward to that.
Oh, I am.
Yeah, that fool went back, tried to get his bar license, and I don't think they gave it to him smartly enough.
Oh, he lost his bar license after your case?
Shit, he got disbarred, not for my case, for everything. I mean, that guy had no business being in a courtroom.
Oh my God.
None.
That's pretty sad.
Yeah, I didn't even get a chance to file on him with the state bar. I mean, this is all the other shit he was doing while he was,
Oh my
Vacation.
gosh.
My money. Yeah. Anyway, that's another story.
Oh,
Number
wow.
three.
This is getting interesting.
Now I've got story after story after story. Number three, parties. A trust must create a legal relationship that requires at least three parties: the grantor, a trustee, and a beneficiary. Each party in the trust can be represented in plurality. This means the parties of the trust can have more than one grantor, trustee, and beneficiary. The grantor of the trust must appoint the trustee, name the beneficiaries, relinquish the property, and transfer the assets. The role of
Okay.
the grantor,
Okay, go ahead. Sorry.
yeah, one more. The role of the grantor, well, the grantor's got a lot to do there. And then apparently they're done. But they got to get all that out of the way before everybody else can, step up with freshly painted toenails. The role of the grantor of the trust is pretty much completed after the assignment of the assets. The assets have been transferred, the paperwork has been filed correctly, and settled. So what do you mean by and settled?
And settled means that he hands it over to the trustees. This is the different part of a irrevocable trust.
Okay.
An irrevocable trust means that the person who's setting up the trust, all he can do is set up the trust. And he has to have two trustees that are not related to him, not family members or anybody else. They could be a close friend, they could be a business partner, they could be a CPA company or something like this. And then on top of it, he needs one successor that is not family in case something happens to the two beneficiaries. I mean, to the two trustees, excuse me, because they're the ones who are going to be handling the complete trust for the grantor. They'll take care of everything. And then the beneficiaries, they're just sitting back, waiting until Papa Grantor dies and they can recover their inheritance. That's it. They don't have any role, say, or anything to do in the trust. So it's up to him to get the trust created, get the account set up, get the res put into the trust res, name what he's going to put into the trust, and to decide what his beneficiaries are going to get. And then he has to also decide what the trustee will be able to do with the trust, because remember, it's irrevocable. So now it can't change. So whatever we put down is like written in stone. Irrevocable, we can change it. But in this sort of a trust, once he's done, it's called an irrevocable trust. Now, if it's a revocable trust, he literally will be two roles. He will literally be the grantor and the trustee. And I mean, I would take on the trustee's role also because I'm protecting my own assets.
Who is he?
And pardon?
You said he. He'll be the
Who's
grantor.
he? The grantor.
You froze, of course.
Revocable trust?
You said he.
Yeah.
So and something else. And then you froze, of course.
Oh, okay. Looks like I'm freezing again up here somewhere. Okay, so basically, the grantor will literally set up everything. He needs to get the bank account set up. Actually, the trustees can set up the bank accounts also. And he just needs to get his assets and what he's going to put into the trust, who's going to receive what, and everything like that. He needs to make sure that everything is laid out in the trust before he hands it over to the trustees. Once it's, completely fabricated, he's happy with what he's done and everything else, then he passes the whole thing off to the trustees. And then he has nothing more to do with the trust. He just sits back because now it's the trustees' duty to operate that trust and take care of it and make sure that nobody comes in and tries to attack the estate of that trust.
Okay.
Yeah. Now, if he's going to set up a revocable trust, this is a trust we can change constantly. We can move in assets, we can move out assets, we can put in property, move out property. We can run the trust, in the private to do our banking and to do other things. And in that type of a trust, he can, assign a trustee. But in that sort of a trust, it's a trust that you would be using like more on a daily basis or, constantly. Who would you trust to take care of your daily assets and your daily life businesses? I would trust myself more than anybody. So I would name myself as the trustee, and then I would name who my beneficiaries are.
Okay. All right, moving on to. Whoops. That. Part 4. How does the trust help your family? In a trust, we want to keep the assets and property safe for our family. When we structure the trust, it can be drafted in ways that will serve the interest of the individuals named in the trust. We have the right to structure our trust to protect the interest of the trustees, who can later become beneficiary of the trust. This holds true for the grantor of the trust as well.
Okay, when I'm making that statement, that's revocable trust. Irrevocable trust, a trustee will probably not become a beneficiary unless you have left certain provisions for the trustee at the end of it. But usually the trustee does not really become a beneficiary. And you as the grantor, when I say become a beneficiary of the trust, you are benefiting from what you do from the trust. So this is why you would become a beneficiary. But then on the other hand, if you have set up an irrevocable trust and you die, then the person who is inside the trust, like if it's a family trust and it's a husband and wife, then in that note, the wife would actually benefit and she would become the beneficiary, because that trust that you set up together now is irrevocable and will be closed out. And it depends on what's inside of the trust. See, like there's some parents or some family members who will set up a trust, husband and wife trust. And literally inside that trust, they have a section where all their assets are together. Then if one dies before the other, they have two sections in the trust where the wife has a section. She says, this is my personal property. I dedicate it to so-and-so. Or she leaves it to her husband who succeeded her in life or, did whatever. And then she could leave some to the children. So in certain cases, it does sound like they become the beneficiary and things like this. But it all depends on how your trusts are written, is how you would look at if you're really a beneficiary or if you are really being the trustee. Because you see, in a lot of family trusts, when one dies, they leave their partner as the trustee to distribute the affairs of the trust. So you have to learn trust law in order to understand some of the verbiage, how you can be the beneficiary, the trustee, or all three. It's all very complicated, because when you're the grantor, you can actually make somebody else your trustee. But when one person of the trust dies, then that one person doesn't want somebody else handling all the affairs. So they usually put the husband or wife as the trustee to distribute the affairs. And then when they're distributing the affairs inside the trust, the husband will leave everything to his wife. So you see, that's how she can become a beneficiary also inside of the trust. It's all in the wording.
Okay. That's all. No, really? It's all in the words?
It's all in the words.
How could it ever be found in the words?
Well, it depends on how you spit them out or write them out.
Yeah, all right. That's what they've been at the whole time, kids. In the words.
Just read. They're all in the words.
Words. God. Would have never found it there, man.
No, it's complicated.
Yes, do-it-yourself trusts. Today is not necessary to pay thousands of dollars to have your trust drafted by an estate attorney or a CPA or Johnny Hotshot down there on the web channel. There are platforms out there now that make it easy for you to draft your own trust according to your desires or to your goals. Today, more people are choosing the DIY, should be DYOR platforms to draft their trust. Many of these new outline platforms will present the grantor with different questions to answer as it creates the trust for them. All right. So right now, yeah, we're kind of getting into trust, kids. What getting into the meat.
We're going to be doing some more stuff, guys, because in the next couple of videos, we're going to understand a little bit more about banking, a little bit more about the different, areas of the trust, the different parts of the trust, the different sections of the trust. And then we will fill out a questionnaire here to decide how we want to write our trust. It's just like a trust planning, and we'll do a trust planning. And everybody can sit there and do their own trust planning. So it gives us an idea of how we would write the trust. And then after we do the trust planning, then the next video, we could take and apply the trust planning to actually creating our own trust. But guys, this is for educational purposes only. And we will be using fictitious information. We will not be, showing you any personal information online. Sorry about that.
Sensitive information. No.
Yeah, it's going to be Jane and Johnny, or Jane and Bobby, or whoever.
John Henry Doe. There we go. All right. I keep writing on my day planner, so I'm moving my mouse. All right. That was number 5. So moving on to number 6. Number 6, choosing your trustee. So basically, the grantor is going to choose the trustee, correct? Okay. There are people out there that will create a living trust that are tempted to choose the roles as grantor, trustee, and beneficiary of the trust. When selecting your trustee, take into consideration a few facts: experience, knowledge, potential conflict of interest, access to the assets, management abilities, cost, and relationships. Take into consideration if you appoint a relative as your trustee, he or she may not have the time to manage your trust or manage it a little bit too well for you because you don't have the time to make sure that they're playing fair with your toys.
Well, see, that's what's important in an irrevocable trust. Literally, you cannot have relatives, family members managing. You literally have to have somebody, somebody that, if you have a company and you have a partner in your company and you two are on the same, wavelengths or whatever, and you have the same outcomes of life and everything else, and, you can ask them to be your trustee. I know who I would ask to be my trustee. It's somebody I trust with everything. And she's like a very beautiful person, and I've known her for quite a long time. So it all depends on who you need as your trustee to be fair. So take that into consideration. Revocable trust, you can name anybody as a trustee, and if they mess up or they don't have the trust's best interest in mind or something like that, you can always, fire your trustee and get a new one.
Right.
Or do it yourself.
Make it pounds. That's what you do. All right. Number 7. Include a trust protector. If you assign a trust protector for your trust, you will not have to worry so much about ceding all control of the assets and property transferred to the trust and controlled by the trustees of your trust. You can assign the following powers to a trust protector: the ability to replace a trustee if needed, the right to control the spending of it by a trustee, the power to veto distributions from the trust, the ability to step in if there is a conflict between trustees.
This is really important. If you have a very large trust and you have a lot of assets and everything to manage, you really don't want to put all your eggs in one basket. It's a lot easier to have 3 trustees or a board of trustees of, 5 to 6 trustees that have to vote and, do things in a quorum on a board, or you have the board and you have 3 to 5 protectors of the trust, which you can assign different things for them to do inside the trust. Like one protector could be, protecting all of your assets. Another protector could be protecting all your benefits. Another protector could be the overseer of the trustees. So it's really a good idea to have trust protectors. When they did set up the Constitution and the Bill of Rights and everything for America, and the grantors were the drafters of it. When they signed it, it consummated it. And the trustees were the legislative, and they assigned the trust protectors as the military. So if, and it's a irrevocable trust. So all basically happens is if the grantors die, then a new person is appointed to the executor's office. So that means that the military controls what the trustees are doing, which is Congress or the legislative. And if they're making a mess, they get to come in and do something about it. So trust protectors are really good.
All right. Number 8. Revocable versus irrevocable trust. A revocable trust allows the grantors of the trust an opportunity to easily change or undo the terms and conditions of the trust. This allows them to control the assets of the trust. A revocable trust can be modified at any time by the will of the grantor. An irrevocable trust is designed to give the grantor maximum benefits in terms of asset protections, estate planning, tax advantages, medical planning, and other planning concerning the distribution of funds. In this type of trust, the grantor does not retain ownership or control of the assets held in the trust.
So you see, when we're setting up trust, we will set up an irrevocable trust where we will not control the assets in the trust. They will be locked into the trust. So they're protected. And then we'll use a revocable trust to run our daily lives where we can move assets in and out of it. So like if we want to change our car and our car is in the trust and our car is protected under the trust and we have our dot license plate and we sell our car, then we can recover our dot license plate because it won't sell with the car because it's trust property. And we just move that license plate onto the new car we buy. And the car moves into the trust. Well, with some paperwork, it's not that easy, but, it has a little bit of things you have to do first.
It's almost that easy, kids. I've done it. So
it's just a paper or two, It's not that difficult. It's just a paper or two.
All right, here we go. These poor folks. Number 9, the married couples. As a married couple, couples that live together under terms of common law marriages or civil unions can work together to draft a trust to reflect their lifestyle and what their final goals are. The trust can be held as a joint structure, which allows both people to dictate the terms and conditions of the trust. In this type of a trust, the couple can keep their property together, or if they decide, each person can control their own property and decide on the distribution of the property.
See, a lot of married couples, they have property that they've purchased together. Recently, I think I see more common law marriages, people living together for extreme amount of times instead of going through the $1 million wedding and everything that goes with it. And they have families, they have kids, they just retain their own last name. No big deal, And I see people like that building trust and, They literally will have two sections in the trust. I saw my parents do it in my parents' trust. My mom had her part of the trust. My dad had his part of the trust. And my dad had certain things that he had accumulated that he wanted certain one of us, as kids to have, or somebody else to have. So it's not that big of a deal. You can do it all kinds of ways. There is no real structure. It's how you want it. It's your will. You make it your way. It's like, what is it? Burger King, have it your way. It's trust, have it your way.
You better have it your way, or the state's going to have it their way. Absolutely. They're going to decide for everybody.
Exactly.
By default. Yeah, that's what you get. All right. Number 10, beneficiaries and distributing benefits. A trust is set up for the benefit of others. If you name a minor in your trust, it is up to you to set up the incentives and condition of the trust for the minor child. It is your trust. Therefore, it is up to you to set up all the incentives and conditions of the trust before a trustee can distribute the trust to your beneficiaries. In some trusts, people will sign a guardian for a minor child to help them manage their trust and not waste the money on foolish items.
Yeah, there's a lot of people who don't want their children to have anything in the trust until they turn 21 or they turn 25 or they're married or all kinds of stuff. There's other people who will set up stipulations in a trust for a minor child that the guardian who they assign to the child will be able to withdraw certain amounts of money for the child, like to go to college or, to, buy a home, put down a down payment on a home, or maybe, get a car that they need, but there'll be stipulations in it until the child turns a certain age. They're not going to give a young child, because it's again, even the law says the kids cannot inherit until they're 18. They can inherit before they're 18, but they can't have anything until they're at least 21 to 25.
Yeah, you can give a 4-year-old a loaded 9mm semi-automatic, but now giving one to them that they can handle it responsibly, that's a totally different story. Probably wouldn't want to do that. So would you want to dump $500 million in somebody's lap that has no idea how to handle that much money? Probably not.
Boy, he'd be out there going to Disneyland every day, wouldn't he?
Yeah, right. Yeah. Hooking up those workers, trying to pick up kids. All right. Number 11, exclusions. One of the hardest parts of creating and setting up your trust is to consider all scenarios when it comes to distributing the wealth of your estate. One of your hardest tasks in creating this trust is to decide who should be left out of your trust. You will have to decide how to handle this in a discretionary manner when it comes to naming the beneficiaries of your trust. It will be difficult to decide who will benefit from the estate and who will not, and who will have to suffer the consequences of executing the estate and watching everybody else get it.
Do you know what's really funny? I've had grandmothers who literally love their grandchildren, but since their grandchildren didn't visit them in their last days, they wrote them all out of their trust, completely out of their will, completely out of everything. And then they left the only person that was still around them, which was a loved cat or dog, everything, and the caretaker to take care of the cat and dog. So the caretaker got all the funds, the home, the cat, and the care of the cat. And the kids got nothing. And oh man, you can see some, like people going into court just screaming and yelling about all this stuff and trying to break the trust. So it's not as easy as people think it is, And then when other people plan the trust, a lot of, lawyers will suggest, well, you can't just write your kid out of the trust. you got to give them at least $1.
Right? No joke. No.
So it's just, I mean, just, take into consideration, because maybe you're mad today and you don't want to give your son or daughter something, but then down the road you're not, so you're changing your mind. So
yeah, right.
Just do it with discretion.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. Number 12, depositing assets. Funding the structure is the term used for transferring assets to the structure or the trust. It is possible to transfer almost anything into the trust. You can transfer cash. You can transfer your assets, property, personal assets, cash, life insurance policies, investment accounts, precious metals, companies, and stock accounts, among many other things. You can put your dog, your cattle, everything. When transferring the assets to your trust, keep in mind that once you do this, all the decision of the trust will be made by the trustee of your trust, all the decisions. Okay.
Yep, guys. So we talked about trust res. So everything is a res. All these items that I talked about are res. So basically, when we transfer all these items into a trust, they have no value. So if you want to put, like you said, your cattle into it, you can put in 200 herds of, beef huffer, whatever they're called, to your trust, Yeah, whatever you want to call it. I mean, if you have, 200 pounds of prime rib pig or whatever is sticking in your trust. I mean, I don't know.
Prime rib pig. Prime rib pig. I heard that first on the Fearless Floyd show. And LeFlore. Prime rib pig.
Well, see, that's how ridiculous it can be. You can put anything you want in there. So do you have some prime rib pig? Stick it in there.
Coming to the all-you-can-eat buffet at the Screaming Cheetah's Tapas Bar out on I-10 and Bayside.
Guys got to make it funny, okay? You guys got to laugh, because if not, you're gonna cry. It's not that hard.
Okay, number 13, jurisdiction and venue. God, I heard that before. No matter where you set up your trust, you will need to understand about the applicable statutory provisions, the state known as situs. You cannot ignore the situs and the significance it plays in setting up your trust. Reason being, some states offer stronger asset protection than other states. If you are transferring real estate property into the trust, the situs should be made in the same state where the real estate assets are located.
Yeah, it's important. That's why, when you guys are doing your trusts and stuff like that, you can create your documents, get everything set up, but then you're going to need to take some time, maybe a week, maybe a week and a half, maybe a little bit longer, to go through the laws and ask some questions to make sure that you have everything set up correctly. They do have, counsels, they do have, trust attorneys, which are rather expensive, but, do they still have, like those online, lawyers or kids that are going to law school that want to help, people learn something? Do they still have stuff like that around? Or do they still have the welfare lawyers around that, can help with the welfare cases, to ask questions or something?
Yeah.
Or am I off basis, or am I totally off?
No, like in Texas, it's called Texas Legal Aid, but yeah, it does exist.
Yeah.
Are they any good and beneficial?
Well, you're not going to get them to write your documents and stuff, but to use them to ask questions where the text, the laws are for your state, so you can look them up, that they would be beneficial for that, because they know where those are. They can point you in the right direction.
Yeah, but it's almost impossible to litigate now, at least in Texas prisons, for the simple fact that There are no books. You don't have instant access to cases to shepherdize or do key codes, anything like that.
So in
Everything's,
prisons, they've taken everything off. They've taken the library out and all the law books and everything out of the prison
Yeah.
libraries.
yep. If you want a case, you have
Whoa.
to go up. You have to request the case. You have to cite it correctly, style and case number, and you can only do 2 or 3 per request per day. So you don't get them that day, you get them the next day. And it's a hit and miss. It's horrible, horrible, horrible. No, so far
Do they
away.
at least give you internet in prison that you can look up the cases yourself?
Absolutely no, 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 no,
No computer access?
Nope.
Wow.
no. That's why I was
That's
telling you,
horrible.
if you saw some of the stuff I did, you'd just be like, oh yeah, you fucking, you lost your mind, dude. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I mean, it's like a college thesis. A couple of them. I mean, they're that well put together.
And all handwritten on pieces of paper and not
were.
even a notebook.
They were at one time, yeah. And they typed into whatever document it is. Okay, panel 14. Actually, I'm sorry, panel 16, number 14. Reason for creating your trust. All right, now this is it. If you have decided to set up an irrevocable structure for your trust, it will take a bit of time to comprehend the financial goals, how they will be achieved, and the considerations needed to create this type of trust. The most common goals that you should consider will include passing of wealth efficiently, how to achieve this and avoid probate, how to reduce your estate taxation, if you want assets to go to a charity, who will distribute your wealth, who will get rid of your wealth for you. Yeah, a bunch of those people.
Can't take it with you.
All right, good. All right. Number 15, building your legacy. At one point in your life, your focus must change from wealth creation to wealth preservation. This is a great chance for you to sit down and look at your family, the minor children, and decide how you want to help them as they grow older and start build their own lives. How can we help now? So when we are gone, we do not leave a major tax burden behind for our family to take care of. One way is gifting some of our assets to help distribute the wealth we leave behind. And for most of you who don't know, this is how Donald Trump's father, Fred, got all the wealth from Fred down to the 3 kids. And then how the 3 kids have been milking that down to their kids, and you get the picture.
Yeah, gifts are wonderful, especially when you're going through different things, and it's like, okay, we can give so much of our capital interest in our trust to somebody for gifting their capital interest. We can put on it when we're gone, this many shares of capital interest was gifted to this person to hold on to, and now he can turn it into the trust and he can receive his money from it. There's a lot of ways to do it, guys. Right. You can do it through a capital interest. You can do it through trust shares. So every trust that you set up has 100 shares of trust stock, and it has 100 shares of capital interest. So you can gift a lot of that to people now that they can hold on to. So when you're gone, the capital interest, they just turn it back in, and the trustee has to record it in the trust logs and pay it out. And it was a gift. It was like, it's gift tax.
Okay. Yeah, that's how the wealthy, move. It's like at the very beginning when you said, they like keep it in the family. If you go back and look at the Rothschilds, those three brothers, they like to marry their nieces. Keep it in
To
the
each his
family.
own.
Well, it keeps it in the family.
Yeah.
Doesn't do much for your looks, but does keep it in the family. All right. And here we go with the summary. These are some important issues to consider before drafting up your estate. There are possibilities that we can create one estate and multiple trusts to handle our estate. This is all part of deciding how you want to handle your affairs and how you want to distribute your wealth and how you want your family taken care of once you're gone. Before writing up your trust, please take the time to make some notes on how you'd like to handle your affairs. Or the state will do it for
Yep,
you.
guys. It's pretty fun. It's pretty interesting. Everything is moving along. So it's all in the planning. That's the hardest part. Once you sit down and, draw your blueprint, create your blueprint, design your home, design whatever you want to design. You can make it multiple layers. You can make it one layer. You can make it simple. You can make it complicated. You can do it however you want. There's a lot of people out there who will create one trust and they will have the estate is the irrevocable trust. And inside the irrevocable trust, they'll have 30 layers underneath it. If you want to be a trust genius and that's all you care about is taking care of these, then it's a wonderful way to do it. It's a wonderful way to move assets from one place to another. A lot of rich people do it. They'll create a new trust on the bottom so that they can move the major assets from the first trust, through the other trust down to another trust. And they'll just keep layering the trust after trust after trust. It's for tax purposes, tax breaks, probate, all kinds of stuff. So I think the best thing to do is not be so complicated unless you have a ton of money and you need to filter all this money somewhere. Then you're going to need to, do a lot more work than what we're going to be showing you here. Because all we're going to be showing you here is how to run an irrevocable trust and how to run a revocable trust. So layers, we're not going to get into it. It's really complicated and it really needs, somebody who has been studying trust law for the last 30 to 40 years. And I just don't personally in my life and in all the lives that I've met and know, I really just do not see a necessity to do it. A lot of people do, but I just don't.
Yeah. Yeah, I get it. Totally understand it. All right. So we've closed up those 18 panels. There we are. Part 10 and LeFlore on trusts. And we're going to try for tomorrow.
Yeah, we'll try not to do a trust one tomorrow. We'll try to slip in. Guys, if I have time, I'm going to really work really hard on it. We're going to try to slip in mailing and postal and understanding how to mail your stuff for 3 to 8 cents. It's pretty simple.
Thank you for hanging around after the show. I want to present to you Tailor Made Trust, featuring Ann LeFlore's Trust Series, available at tailormadetrust.com, as well as the fearlessfloydshow.com store. Here are a handful of the available trusts that can be built, custom tailored to your needs and desires. 25 different trusts
plus the DNA trust addendum. And as always, and LeFlore's classic trusts and ancillary classes, and also Anne's books on trust and specialty trust, which I also co-authored. If you'd like to get a class, a book, or have a trust custom built for you, always available at the fearlessfloydshow.com store. And I'll see you in the next show. Thank you for watching and have an awesome day.